Hey listeners, it's Andrea. We have made it to the end of season 5, so we're dropping a special season 5 wrap party just for you. Come listen in.
Welcome to the TNG Podcast, the number one place in the Alpha Quadrant to geek out about all things Star Trek: The Next Generation. I'm your co-host, Shereese.
Hey, I'm your co-host, Andrea, and today we are celebrating a season 5 wrap.
Woo!
We did it! Woo-hoo! We got through every single episode of season 5, the good, the not so great, and then the spectacular. And we got there all with you guys. So it's been super fun. So to celebrate sort of wrapping season 5 and about to jump into season 6, we thought we would do what we always do and do a little wrap and talk about some favorites, some episodes we're really looking forward to in season 6, so we can kind of jump into this next adventure with you guys.
Yeah, so to start it all off, we want to talk about some of our top episodes from season 5. And to be fair, there were a lot of great episodes in season 5.
It was actually really hard to pick.
Yeah,
really
so
was.
even picking these, it doesn't mean these are our only favorites. We just needed to keep this episode short. So we've limited ourselves to 3 episodes. But I think if it was top episodes, we could easily pick 10, maybe 12 out of the 22 episodes or 26 or whatever that are our quote unquote tops. So let's kick it off with season 5 with some of our top episodes. So Andrea, let me know 3 of your top episodes and why you picked them.
Okay, so one of my first season 5 favorites is an all fan fave is The Inner Light. It was just really poignant, really beautiful, very sweet. There were a lot of teary moments and for the right reasons. And the plot itself was really lovely. The idea of a satellite that could make a person live a life as an extinct species just so that that person can share that they did live as an imprint, I think is so beautiful. And it's making me emotional just thinking about what that would mean, the stories of lost people who just want others to know that they lived, even if there's no hope for survival for them. On the flip side, Time's Arrow is one of my favorites. Parts 1 and 2, I just kind of put that together as one story just because it's fun and popcorny. It's really, really fun watch. And we just finished reviewing part 1, and I'm really excited to jump into part 2 to kind of talk about how that story concludes. But I sort of count those as the end of season 5.
Right.
And then Conundrum is another favorite of mine. That's the one where they have a whole memory wipe and nobody knows who they are. And then there's that Commander Macduff who's trying to kill these peaceful people. And it's just really fun to see all these beloved characters that we know, but in different roles, and Ro and Riker kind of exploring that tension that they have, and Picard being a comms officer and Data being a bartender. It's a lot of fun with very very familiar faces. And then I do have a bonus episode that was what I call my opinion flip. It's an episode I was not looking forward to watching for the podcast. And I was actually really, really surprised by how much I actually liked it in this other watch. There was Darmok. When Picard is down on the planet with that alien who doesn't speak the same language, there's no syntax. They say English words, but it doesn't mean anything. And they're fighting that electricity monster. And I hated that episode for a really long time, and I never rewatched it. And then, for the podcast, we have to watch all of them and take notes.
Yeah, we decided at the beginning of the show that we would force ourselves to watch episodes we didn't want to watch. So
yes,
I think that was a good call.
To be complete, to have the complete library. Yeah. And that one really, really changed my mind. I was like, wow, there's so much more significance to that episode than when I watched it as a kid. And I was like, that's dumb. He's just saying Darmok at Tanagra. What that could mean anything. But I love watching it as an adult and being oh, wow, the struggle to communicate and to forge bonds and to be on the same team and it's really meaningful. So I really, really love those. What were your favorite season 5 episodes?
Well, one of my favorites was one of your favorites, which is Conundrum. That's just
fun.
It's one of my all-time favorites. Even it's a mystery. You don't know what's going on. And one of my favorite things is every time I watch it and I see Kieran Macduff standing there looking all confused with everybody, I always have the same thought. Was that guy there a minute ago? I've seen this episode 1,000 times and I'm always like, wait, was he there a minute ago?
I mean, he looks generic enough to fit. If 100%. There was another Mott all of a sudden there, you'd be like, no, there was not a Mott was not on the bridge.
There was no Bolian on the bridge 2 seconds ago. But this guy just looks like standard crew, bridge crew, who just happened to be standing there at a panel and then is all confused. and you're like, was that guy there? And then all of a sudden he's the second officer or the first officer, and you're like, oh, wait a minute. I love that. I love the mystery of it. It's great.
Plus, that episode has the Sumerian sunset in it. What's not to love?
Yes. And it's got Data being a bartender, which is super fun. And they're like, our bartenders are artificial life forms. I guess all bartenders are artificial life forms. It's so great. So another one of my favorites also includes Row, which is the episode called Ensign Row. It is one of my favorites. Again, there's a mystery, there's a conspiracy. You think like maybe it's all in their head, but it's not. And then I love the way that Picard tricks these Cardassians, but also this crooked Starfleet admiral to kind of reveal their plans while keeping the Bajoran people safe. And I love the entire way that they explore what it means to be an innocent, quote unquote, innocent bystander and watch this kind of genocide happen with the Bajoran people. It's a really poignant, really meaningful episode. And it's absolutely one of my favorites. Another one of my favorites from season 5 was Next Phase. So we're getting a lot of Row in this.
I was going to say that too. It's really hard to pick like just 3 or 4. Yeah,
it's super hard. Super hard. Next Phase, I love seeing Geordi and Data's bond that supersedes even death is so beautiful. So cute. I like the idea of like, what if you could see people planning your wake or your funeral? Like, what would that experience be like? And I love the way that Geordi is so determined to unravel the mystery and return to fully corporeal status. And the way that is all unveiled, and you're like, what is going on? How did this happen? Oh my gosh, it was that equipment. Oh my God. Like, I love the whole mystery of it. So those are some of my favorites from season 5. There's obviously many, many more, but now we want to transition to talk about what we are looking forward to, because we are heading into season 6, which is going to have some hits and some misses, just like all the seasons, but the hits just keep hitting harder, right? They just keep getting better and better, where you just can't find something wrong with it. So I want to hear, what are some of your 3 episodes you are really, really excited about watching in season 6?
Okay. One of the first ones that jumps out at me is Man of the People. That's the episode where that ambassador is coming to come together for some negotiations, and he's like the perfect mediator. And he comes aboard with his mother, who's like kind of crazy and old. And it turns out that like when she dies, Troy comes to like give this man some comfort. And he like transfers all of his like negative thoughts into her, and then she starts aging really rapidly and becoming like old and crazy and like possessive of him, while he can keep like a clear mind so he can do his like negotiations for this like peaceful treaty or whatever. I love that episode because
it's one of my favorite episodes.
It's so great.
It's
so good. It's one of those episodes where you can't find anything wrong with it, and it's super cool to see Troy being very un-Troy-like, and also like aging, like that episode that we had in season 2 where Dr. Pulaski like ages really, really fast, right? Where it's like you get to see that, and it's done really well. And Troy's wearing like more cleavage and being more kind of like sexy and like becoming more possessive, which I can't wait. I can't wait to see that one. Another one that this is a fan favorite for a lot of reasons is Relics. When the Enterprise comes across a Dyson sphere and crashed on the surface of the Dyson sphere is a small ship, and Scotty's transport pattern is still locked in the transporter, and they transport him into like reality again. And he's like, just a relic from like original series Star Trek, and he's like so on great. The bridge of TNG and solving problems. All this,
and
really,
such a
really
genius,
cool.
Such a genius idea, because they opened the pilot of TNG with Bones walking through the hallway at the end of the episode, and he was like a million years old, because at the time that TNG happens, it's supposed to be like, I don't know, 80 years in the future or some crazy thing.
Yeah.
So Bones is like,
and the actor was already really old anyway. Yeah.
But he was like really aged and decrepit in this scene. So I think it was really genius to have Scotty show up, and he looks like properly aged. They didn't make him extra old and all this stuff because he was trapped in the transporter for 60 years or whatever.
Yeah.
That was just a really clever workaround. So that way we didn't have to put a bunch of old people makeup on him or make him like hunch over or anything like that. And we got to see
he looked great.
Yeah, he looked great. And we got to see what would he be like transplanted into this future world when he was like the top of technology. That was a great episode.
Yeah, it's like seeing Geordi being whipped forward to like some 60 years or 80 years into the future and being like, well, in my day I was able to reverse the polarity, and they're like, okay, grandpa, or whatever, right? Where it's like, it was really cool. And because he has that like real moment of nostalgia. Like on the holodeck, he recreates the original Enterprise bridge, and it's got the sounds and everything. It's just so beautiful. I love that episode, and it's really
That's
cool
a beautiful
it's
crossover.
It's also
episode.
like it's a crossover, and it's fans get to see Scotty again, and he does help, like, even though he's like this relic in air quotes, like he does help solve a problem that saves the Enterprise. So it's like, it's very, very cool. I'm really looking forward to that one. And then my third one is called Second Chances. And it's that one where that Riker replica is another transporter accident where like he was the last to transport out of this like emergency station situation, but like a storm had closed in. So his pattern bounced off the bottom of like the ionosphere and like bounced back. And so there are two Commander Rikers. And like, surprisingly, they don't like each other very much. And they're kind of competing, because this Riker has been living for like 20 years on like this abandoned space station by himself. Thank God the replicator still worked, because he would have just starved to death. But like, he still held like a candle for Deanna, and she got to kind of explore like what life might have been if she and Riker got to be together. And I like, it's cool. Plus, like, Riker is such a fun character. Like, twice the fun, like let's double the pleasure, double the fun. Like I can't wait to watch that episode. So what are your like season 6 like excited episodes that you're really feeling jazzed about?
Again, super hard to pick. There are a lot of really good episodes
so hard to pick
in season 6. One of the episodes, I guess this is a bit of a cheat because it's a 2-parter, is Chain of Command. It must have been during Sweeps month or something, which is why it's a 2-parter.
Must have been, yeah.
But Chain of Command,
mid-season like
yeah, the mid-season break. Like, for those of you who did not grow up with such a thing as Sweeps, there was this mid-season break where you had to see if shows were good enough to come back, and they would do these cliffhangers like in the middle of the season.
Really weird.
Bizarre.
Really weird.
Totally bizarre, because you're like, why is there a cliffhanger in like episode 12 or whatever? But anyways, so Chain of Command, that's the one where Picard and Beverly and Worf go on this secret mission to find some Cardassian hidden base that's trying to do something against Starfleet. But really, it was all a ruse to kidnap Picard. And they kidnap him and they torture him, and they basically try to brainwash him, because ultimately they want all of the secrets. They want the secret codes. They want all the access and everything that's in a Starfleet captain's mind, especially the captain of the flagship. But he resolutely refuses to give into anything, despite all of the physical hardship. And it's a really difficult episode to watch. It's not like fun or anything. It's not Times Arrow where it's just good old family fun, but
Is this the like how many lights do you see episode?
How many lights episode?
That one's so terrifying.
It's so well done. It's so well done. It's well acted. It's really heartbreaking. It's just the level of artistry with all of the actors in those 2 episodes is genius. The new captain who comes along is such a douchebag. We get another punchable face. Yep. And you get to see how the whole crew reacts when they have a leader they don't respect, which is so interesting. So that's one of my favorites. Another one of my all-time favorite episodes in season 6, which is Ship in a Bottle. That is our conclusion story to the Moriarty story.
God. That's in season 6?
It's in season 6.
Oh my God, I can't wait for that.
And the first episode was, I think, season 2 or 3. So we've been waiting a long time to get the sequel to this, to find out what happens, because this is the one where in the past episode, Moriarty, the program, became alive because Geordi gave it a command to make it as good as Data. So the actual program came to life and is as clever as Data, but it's still a program and still stuck in the holodeck. So Picard promised that he would research technology to give the holodeck the ability to the hologram of Moriarty, the ability to leave the holodeck, because he was a sentient being. And he was like, I'm not going to delete your program. I'm not going to erase you, because now you're sentient. We have to find a way to free you, though. We don't yet have the technology. So in this sequel episode, Moriarty comes back, takes over the whole ship, threatens to kill everybody unless they get him off the holodeck, because it turns out all this time he was awake and aware that he was in the buffer system, which is really sad.
Super terrifying. Well, yeah, because Picard had been like, we're going to find a solution. And then they got thrown into the Borg, and then they were like, oh God, and like completely forgot about him. And
but nobody found a solution. No one found a solution to making a hologram being able to walk off of the holodeck until Voyager. So and the only reason they discovered it in Voyager is because of time travel. They traveled like 500 years in the future and found a device that can make a hologram be able to walk. So even in Voyager, they didn't have the technology. So just such a good episode. Like, it's a nice good mystery where you're like, there's no solution to this. So how are they going to get out of it? Yeah. Then the third episode, I will say, is one of my favorites, is Timescape. And that's the one where there was Troy and Geordi, Data, and Picard who were at some conference, and they come back to the ship in the runabouts. First time we see the little shuttle and runabout.
Ooh,
they come back,
one.
and it looks like the Enterprise and a Romulan ship have been in this huge space battle, and everything's frozen in time. And they're like, what the heck? And they have to figure out what happened. Again, you might be noticing a theme. I really like the mystery ones because because a lot of episodes, it's easy to predict how it all works out. But in these mystery episodes, it's not clear what the answer is. And it's so satisfying seeing the crew come up with an impossible answer to an impossible question every single time. So I am really excited and looking forward to that.
That is, I totally forgot about that one for a second, but I will easily say that is the episode that I have watched the most times. That is so high on my rewatch list that when I cycle around to like my 5 or 6 shows that I like watch to fall asleep every night, like I have a couple that are just, I've seen so many times, it's comforting enough I can fall asleep to, but I'm not actively watching it, so it doesn't keep me up. Whenever Star Trek TNG kind of rolls around back into that rotation, that's the one that I watch the most. I absolutely love that one. That one and like Remember Me when Beverly's trapped in the static warp bubble. Like, but that time one is so cool because there's those time bubbles that are happening all over the ship. So like on the runabout, the bowl of fruit has like in a matter of 2 seconds aged like 4 months and it's all rotted and moldy and like Picard's hand even like ages and his nails grow all long and you're like, oh my gosh. And then that's also that really cool and where like there's a Romulan mystery, so it feels slightly like the next phase because we just had that. But also like it's really tough to tell what's going on. Like, were they being attacked? Which turns out was not the case.
Absolutely
like,
everything looks like they were being attacked. Absolutely everything looks like they were being attacked. And you're like, oh no, we've got to save the Enterprise. And when you find out that there was not an attack at all, they were just helping each other. You're like, what? It's like all your preconceived notions, probably based on the next phase, where you're like, for sure the Romulans are trying to destroy them and kill them and
do
all this
something
stuff.
Sketchy. Yeah.
You're like, oh no, none of that was true. That's a nice twist too.
Yeah, no, I mean, I really love that episode. I can't wait. There is so much good stuff in season 6 to look forward to. As Shereese said, there are hits and misses, but there are in every season, and the hits just keep getting better and better. And I will comfortably say that like the hits in season 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 like cannot like just eclipse even like the best of seasons like 1 or 2. Like, you know, the episodes where they were good and not total trash, like are still not as good as like, because it's just a well-oiled machine by this point.
Yeah. The growth is spectacular. Yeah. I want to ask you, if you're listening to us right now, we want to know, what are your top episodes from season 5? What are the top episodes you're looking forward to for season 6? Yes. Let us know. Send us an email to info@thetngpodcast.com. We both read all of them all the time. Or you can find us on Instagram with the handle @thetng podcast. But we want to know your top 3 for season 5, your top 3 for season 6. Let us know.
Oh, I can't wait to hear what people say. And I can't wait to dive in to season 6. So on that note, should we jump right into our Times Arrow Part 2 and break that down and just get our feet fully fledged into season 6? What do you say?
I say we make them wait a few more days.
Let's do it now. Oh, fine. As usual, Shereese has to be the adult.
So catch our episode on Times Arrow Part 2. That's going to be coming out in a few days on Thursday.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for listening. We can't wait to get into yet another spectacular season of TNG. And thank you so much. Congrats to all of us for making it to the end of season 5. And we will see you out there.
Bye. Thanks for geeking out with us. Be sure to join the crew at thetngpodcast.com to be the first to know when we do our live shows or host events exclusively for our members. We'll see you next time.